All right, we should be live. I'm just checking. And we are. Welcome back to another live session, guys. This is the first time I'm using two devices, so I'll be reading comments off of this, and I'm looking at you guys over there. So, got a bunch of things to talk about today. Wanted to get on here and talk about my adventures in finding a 11th gen Civic Type R. So let's go ahead and see who gets on here. All right, we got 7 already joining in. I'm gonna go ahead and get started on the topic at hand. So, I've been in the search, as you guys know, for an 11th gen Civic Type R for a while now. And as the title says, it's here. So there are about 100 Civic Type Rs, 11th gen Civic Type Rs, sitting in Richmond, California. That's the port that they use in California to ship in the Civic Type Rs. As you guys know, the Type R is built in the Saitama plant over in Japan. Now, knowing that, I'm able to share a bunch more news. I'm going to go over the 5 issues that the next generation Civic Type R is going to have in terms of us being able to buy one. And I'm going to share with you 2 stories of me going to different Honda dealerships and just seeing what they were going to say about the next gen Civic Type R. So the first problem that's been going on with the Civic Type Rs is that, as the rest of the car industry's been having, same thing with Honda, supply issues. There's been a lot of supply issues. Now, unfortunately, Honda has a lot of exposure to the Chinese supply issues. In case you guys don't know, and many of you guys probably don't know, the Chinese economy is currently in a downward spiral. It's not very publicly talked about, but hey, it's pretty obvious to me that they've been in a downward spiral. The reason I know is because a lot of the plants that supply automakers in China, they're in Chongqing, there's a few of them, there's Nanjing, there's other places. They've been going through a bunch of rolling blackouts in the last basically 2 years, but it's been intensifying a lot in the last year. So in last year, these rolling blackouts have shut down these plants, and specifically Honda has a number of plants in these areas. So whenever this happens, of course, it affects all kinds of production, engine production, parts productions, little things that you may not even think about reduce the amount of cars you can make. When you're making a car, let's say you're making a car and you have all the pieces that you need for that car, but you're missing, I don't know, one little piece, let's say one little control arm. It's not like you can just say, the car doesn't need it, I can just ship it out like that. No, you need a control arm, right? And if the control arm is built in a plant that's been shut down, you're not going to be able to build that car. So they've been going through a lot of supply issues from the Chinese side, and as well as other places. The whole pandemic really reduced the amount of workers, the amount of plants that we're on, and we've been dealing with this crap for a while. So that's the first thing that you guys should keep in mind with the 11th gen Civic Type R. Now, to back up a little bit, I've talked about the Type R a lot in the last couple of years. I kind of predicted what it was going to be. I'd like to say I was pretty spot on. If you go back to my videos predicting what the 11th gen Type R was going to be, it's basically a product improved 10th gen, right? It's not going to be a very big departure. It's not a very big departure from the 10th gen Civic Type R. Basically the same engine, basically the same transmission, and much better interior, like I predicted. Same basic bones of the chassis, so it's going to be an excellent car. Now, the next issue, well, I actually wrote them down. I'll take a look, and then I'm going to go ahead and go through some chat. So if you guys have any comments or questions, put it down in the chat. I'm going to get through all of them. But I want to get through this information first, so you guys, I can share with you guys kind of all of my thoughts and all of my research that I've done on this. So, one plant I didn't talk about was the Denso plant. There's a Denso plant in China, actually in Chongqing as well, that's been shut down since basically July. And Denso provides a lot of manufacturing pieces to a lot of different manufacturers, including spark plugs and wires, wiring looms, and all that good stuff. And so when those are shut down, you tend to get into pretty big trouble in trying to build your cars. Now, before we get into the stories, I want to share you guys my stories on when I went to a couple Honda dealerships and tried to buy a Civic Type R. Before I get to those stories, here's what we're all dealing with, us car enthusiasts trying to buy a Civic Type R, right? So here are the 5 things that we're all dealing with. So first thing is that it's kind of a random allocation. Yeah, Honda does try to give the higher volume dealers more Civic Type Rs. Obviously, that makes sense. The more vehicles that a dealership moves for Honda, Honda's going to go ahead and give it the more specialty vehicles. That's not always the case. There's some vehicles that specialize a lot on SUVs. They may not necessarily get the most amount of Type R, so you're going to want to take a look at the dealerships that have sold the most manual cars, including the Civic Si. If your dealership or the dealership near you has moved a lot of Civic Sis, you're likely to get more Civic Type R allocations. So that's the other thing. Dealers don't order the cars. So if you ever try to order a GM product, let's say a Camaro or a Corvette, if you guys remember, I ordered my C8 Corvette, my 2020 C8 Corvette, and I actually ordered it. I went to my dealership. When they get an allocation, they get assigned an allocation, they can order whatever C8 Corvette they want to put in the system. Now, there are some constraints here and there, and they'll know what those constraints are, but as long as there's no constraints on whatever the model or option I want, I can go ahead and order it. So I custom ordered my own car. I went to numerous Honda dealerships, even for my 10th gen, when I went to buy my 10th gen Civic Type R. If you guys remember, 5 years ago, I went ahead and called like 25 different dealerships in order to find my Civic Type R. I didn't have an option as to what color I wanted. The dealership didn't have an option. They just got whatever they got. Black Type R, red Type R, blue Type R, whatever it was, it just showed up, and that's what you got. So that's one huge negative, in my opinion, that Honda has. You can't go ahead and order the exact color you want in your Type R. You can't just tell Honda, hey, I'd like to get a Civic Type R in red or in championship white, which is what I would like. Basically, at this point, I'd take one that's not black. Not black and not silver. Those are 2 colors I wouldn't want. I want an interesting color. So that's the other issue that we're dealing with. If you want a specific color, you might want to keep hunting, because what might happen is you have a deposit at a dealership, let's say, and you get a phone call. Hey, there's a Type R that's going to be here next week. It's in black. Would you like it? And in my opinion, for me, I would not take a black Civic Type R. I don't like black cars at all. And then, we could argue about, why I don't like black cars. I really don't. I think black on a car is super boring. Blackout look, for me, it's a super boring look. If you disagree with me, put it in the comments below or put it in the chat. Again, I'll be reading those chats very soon. Next one. It's unpredictable, right? We don't know how many vehicles are going to be made. Honda doesn't really give you a prediction as to how many. And from what I told you guys in the beginning with the supplier issues that Honda's been dealing with, they've actually cut the Saitama plant's production expectations by 40% very recently. So the Saitama plant, like I told you guys, that's exactly where the Civic Type R is built. And last month, or actually, yeah, it was last month, we're in October, it was September that they said this, they're cutting production on that plant by 40%, which is already pretty low from where it was 2 or 3 years ago. So that's just going to constrain supply that much more. And then finally, the 5th issue, and I already kind of talked about that, is the supply chain issue that we're dealing with. It's just hitting all sectors of the market. It's not a very good time to be trying to buy a Civic Type R. Now, the other kind of factor that we're dealing with here is that the Civic Type R, and the price has not been announced yet, which is interesting, but let's say it's going to be $40,000. For $40,000, the Civic Type R still is the bargain of the century, right? It's one of the best sports cars you can buy for under $50,000 or $60,000. Honestly, if you want something with 4 doors and a hatchback, basically almost an SUV-sized hatch in the back, tons of space with a modern interior, decent gas mileage, and you can take to the track, there's really not much you can take under 55, 60 grand. The Camaro SS1 LE that I've reviewed on this channel, if you haven't checked that out, go ahead and check that out. Reviewed on this channel. It's an awesome car for the money, but that you're again spending around 50 grandish. For under 50 grand, the Type R is it. Very soon we'll see the GR Corolla, and that's going to give the Type R a run for its money. But if you guys have seen a regular Corolla, it's pretty small. It's not as spacious as the Civic hatchback. It's also it's not going to be as exciting, in my opinion, as a Civic Type R. I think the Civic Type R has more oomph than the Corolla, although the Corolla does make a good case for itself. So I'm glad that there's competition there. Now, so there's so many people that want the Type R, and the supply is going to be so small, even smaller than the 10th gen Type R. If you guys remember, in 2017, it was tough to get Civic Type R. Actually, it was tough to get the Civic Type R any year. Dealers would mark them up. They marked them up all the way till the last days that they were producing them. So expect more markups as we go forward. And so those are the kind of things that we're kind of dealing with here. Unfortunately, I'm actually kind of disappointed with Honda. You know, to be a car manufacturer, you first have to make sure that your suppliers are going to be giving you your products that you need. And I understand we did go through a pandemic, but this is over. This is not over, but 2020, yeah, it's over 2 years. It's almost 3 years ago that the pandemic hit, right? So it's been almost 3 years, and they still haven't been able to figure this out. And I really can't blame just Honda. Most car manufacturers have issues, but the fact that the Corvette team, for example, they've been able to build about 25,000 Corvettes per year in this very constrained time, it goes to show you that if GM can do it, Honda should be able to do it. I have more faith in Honda than I do GM, but here we are. So just a bunch of concerns that I have there. And yeah, good luck to everyone that's trying to get them. Again, my recommendation is you call up all the dealerships around you, see what they got, see if they can put you on a list. At this point, I've never been a guy that says I'm paying more than MSRP, but at this point, I'm almost considering capitulating. I'm not there yet, but I'm almost considering capitulating, maybe adding on a 10% to the MSRP. So what do you guys think again? Are you guys looking at the 11th gen Type Rs? Are you guys looking at over MSRP? Does anybody here have a reservation already on a dealership? Let me know in the comments how much you're paying over MSRP. I'd like to know. If you guys hear that, that's my air conditioner popping off. I may have to move. So we're in my off-road vehicle right now. Let's go ahead and take a look at some comments here while I have moments. Cindy, hello. What color are you going for? I'm going for championship white. All right. Are there any other comments that I have not seen yet? Let me see if I can. Again, this is my first time using another device, so. No other comments, all right. Chad Boromir. You love my videos, huh, Chad? So, you better stop losing in Warzone there, Chad. I know all about that. Anyway, so yeah, supply issues and the 11th gen Civic Type R supplier issues are really going to be a big problem for us in the next couple of years. All the recommendation, I would open up your options, right? A lot of people that are Corvette fans, a lot of you guys know I'm on a list for C8 Z06, but I've had to open up my options as to, okay, well, I may or may not see the C8 Z06 in the next couple of years. Who knows if I'll ever see an 11th gen Civic Type R. So I've kind of had to open up my horizons and kind of see what else might be out there in the used car market. A lot of you guys may or may not know, but the used car market in the last 2 years has been pretty terrible. Recently, the used car market is getting better and better. A lot of vehicles have gone down in price a lot, especially if you're looking for SUVs, regular Civics, regular Camrys, and things like that. Those used car prices are gonna start going down precipitously, significantly here. A lot of that has to do with interest rates going up. So interest rates have gone up significantly, and it's reducing the demand for used cars, for cars in general, actually. Now, unfortunately, the supply side has not been fixed we're only going to sell about 14 million cars this year. That sounds like a lot. 14 million new cars this year. It sounds like a lot. They were expecting to sell around 16 or 17 million cars this year. The fact that we're only at 14 million as a forecast means that we're missing about 2 or 3 million cars in the markets, which is going to increase or at least level out the new car markets. Now, like I said, considering used cars, used Corvettes, used Miatas, hell, used 10th Gen Civic Type Rs, they have not really gone down in price a lot. They haven't gone up a lot. So that's definitely an option for a lot of people. You can take a look at the Mazda Speed 3. That's a fun car to buy if you're looking for something entry level. You can look at the Ford Focus RS. That's kind of a forgotten car. It was only out for 3 years in the United States. I was actually looking back at some older videos. I remember when the Type R came out, the Ford Focus RS had been out for about a year, and the Type R was really kind of focused on the Ford Focus RS, right? And I did a bunch of track days chasing around Ford Focus RSs back in the day. I haven't seen one in person for a while now. And I actually did a video on a Ford Focus RS, a review if you want to go look back in that. But that's another car to look at used to keep your options open. So just thinking off the box. And if you want to order a car in your own spec, you can go ahead and try any Chevrolet dealer, any Ford dealership. You can order a car your way. And I believe, yes, actually not the Ram, but the Dodge vehicles, you can go ahead and order whatever you want. A Scat Pack, for example. I have a Scat Pack video on my channel, a Charger Scat Pack a buddy of mine had. It was an awesome car. Let's see who else is on here and commenting. Weiwei's back at it. I am. So Weiwei's got her 10th Gen Civic. Weiwei's actually been on the channel as well with her black Civic hatchback. So DJ says, I'm hanging on to my 2017 Type R. That's a good bet. Hanging on to your Type R right now is a really good idea. DSEE, hey, you wish that you can be getting a Type R? All it takes is a little bit of work, man. It's not out of the realm. Don't write yourself off yet. So expectedly, there aren't that many people. There was only 21 people online or on my live stream. I haven't been posting videos for a while now, for many good reasons. I've been very busy in my personal life. I have a baby, of course. As you know, my last few live streams, I've already kind of said that. The good news is that I've actually already scheduled videos every other day through the end of December. So through the end of the year, you're gonna see a video be scheduled out every other day. They'll be out at 8:30 in the morning Eastern time. Again, every other day, usually Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, Saturdays. That's when you'll see them. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, and the Saturday ones will be at noon. On Sundays, I'm planning to try to do some live streams. I can't promise I'll be on every single week. I'm gonna try, but I will be on here and there just to share some thoughts, share some news, share some insights that you guys might be asking for. The reason actually I went live today is because I got 3 emails in the last 3 weeks asking me about the 11th Gen Civic Type R and its availability. So I'm like, you know what? Let me get on here and tell you guys what I've learned through my industry contacts. You know, I still have press contacts from Acura and Honda. I have dealership contacts, a bunch of them, right? I have, Honda of Hackettstown. I have my Honda dealership here. And I haven't told the story about my Honda dealerships. Wow, I forgot about that. So the story of my Honda, so I went to the local Honda dealership here in northern Florida. There's not that many. So I went to 2 of them. One of them was the one I spent the most time in because they were the friendliest. But I went in there and I wanted to ask them, hey, talk to me about your Civic Type R's allocations. So he went inside and started checking his used car inventory. And I'm like, that's not really what I'm asking for. I don't want a used Civic Type R. I want an 11th Gen Civic Type R. Now this was a couple of weeks ago, but he still should have known, and he didn't know that there was one coming. And he said, well, yeah, we don't know what we're getting. We don't know what kind of allocations we're getting. And I was just kind of saying, all right, well, is there a list I can get on there? Is there something that I can pay? He basically kind of said that while there was no list to get on a Type R list, because it's not out yet, I can get on a Civic Si list, or I can get on a regular Civic hatchback list. it was at that time that the floor manager, or actually it might have been it was actually the general manager of the store. He came down, and the car, I had a pretty interesting car that I have not yet introduced to the channel. So they were all out looking at the car that I had. So, you know, he came back into the store and he said, "Hey, is that your car?" I'm like, yeah, it's my car. First question he asked me was, "Do I want to sell it?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not selling it, not yet anyway." But you know, the next question I asked him, like, "So when are we getting a Type R, the next gen?" And he actually shared some news. Well, that Honda dealership is actually not getting any more Civic Type Rs or Civic SIs for the upcoming future. You know, we don't know when we're gonna get another Civic SI allocation. It's gonna be for at least 6 months, maybe a year. We're just not gonna get them. So the only Honda dealership within an hour from my house is not getting a Civic Si or a Type R anytime soon. I then asked them about a manual Civic hatchback. They didn't even know that existed, which is understandable. Very few people get manuals these days. And I don't think they're getting those allocations either. So Honda's being very specific as to who gets the sportier car allocations. And it's understandable. We're out here in the middle of nowhere. We're in the deep south of North Florida. So the most of the vehicles that they sell are the Ridgeline trucks, the Odysseys, the Pilots, the Passports. They're getting a bunch of those. They get a lot of regular Civic, you know, with the regular automatic transmissions. Which, by the way, as a side note, I really despise the CVTs in the automatic Civics and in the some of the automatic Accords. The Accord 2.0T has a really good transmission. The Accord 1.5T, terrible. Same goes with the automatic HRV and the automatic CRV. I just really dislike any CVT transmission. So, anyways, it was interesting how that went. I also went to a dealership in a bigger city. And they told me that for $15,000, they can put me like 5th or 6th on a list. I'm like, all right, so that's not a problem. I'll put down 15 grand to get 5th or 6th on the list. And then as I was, you know, going through some paperwork, about to sign some stuff, the dealership said, yeah, so the 15 grand is actually over MSRP. So when we get the car, you'll pay MSRP, we'll keep the 15 grand. And I'm like, 15 grand over a Civic Type R? I'm sorry, but the Type R is just not worth $55,000-$60,000. It's not. I'd rather build my own Civic Type R at that point. So, you know, that's been my experience so far. I've also called a few dealerships. No one's promised me anything yet, so we'll see how it goes. Let's see if there's any other comments here before we close out, maybe a little early. Thanks, DJ. Yeah, we got a little daughter. She's awesome. They grow up fast, man. Question is, do you think Prelude's gonna go up in price? You know, I gotta think Preludes have to go up at some point. Prelude's got a really bad rap. As you guys know, I've owned a Prelude for like 14 years, right? Currently, it's up in Connecticut. The friend that I bought my Prelude from 14 years ago bought it back, right? But I have the right of first refusal to sell it. Basically, it's a friendship car, right? He and I just share the car. I want him to get into track racing or track driving. So I basically said, hey, I prepped this Prelude, take it to the track, and let's meet up at the track. So anyway, they have to go back up. I mean, it's an awesome car. The H22A engines, those things are awesome engines. They call it the big blocks of the Honda family. I don't know if they're going to go up anytime soon. I guess Honda made so many of them. And the problem is that everyone prefers taking the Civic platform because it's a shorter wheelbase. So the turn-in and the driving feeling that you get from a Civic hatchback, for example, from the 90s, is much better than a long wheelbase Prelude. Long wheelbase Prelude is very stable. The longer the wheelbase is, the more stable it is at high speeds. But that stability becomes understeer. It's basically what it is. So if you get a Prelude Type SH, that ATTS system is basically an advanced limited slip differential, basically, the clutches in them wear out, so they're not very good for track driving. And the base model Preludes, a lot of them came in automatic. And if you know anything about Preludes automatics, those automatics blew up immediately. So because those automatics blew up a lot, and because if you got the SH, the ATTS system would malfunction a lot, most of the normies, as I call them, or the public, stayed away from the Prelude. They're known as the problematic Honda, right? If you know what you're doing, you could easily get a base Prelude manual and drive that thing forever. It'll last forever. But most car enthusiasts tend to go either Integra or Honda Civic hatchback, or an older Civic, put a K-swap in it. They ignore the H22. I don't know. Almost makes me want to swap an H22 into something just for the shits and giggles. What else we got? Yep, 15K markup is strong. I'm not doing it. So Falco wants to get one in Panama. Don't know. Yeah, they'll be sending them to Panama, but I don't know how many you'll get, and it might be a while. Like I said, the supply issues that Honda's dealing with are actually way worse. And you know what's kind of sucks? This is kind of another aside. I've actually bought throughout the years a lot of Honda stock. I just like the company, so I just bought a bunch of stock because whatever, they give me a decent dividend, and it is what it is. I thought it was a good company, and it is a good company. But because of the supply chain issues that they've had, they've been much worse. They've dealt with the supply issues so much worse than other manufacturers that their stock price has gone down a lot. Now I think they'll bounce back eventually, but we'll see. Yeah, I'm enjoying every moment with my daughter. So as DJ's saying, they grow up very fast. DSEE, what about the RSX? Do you expect those to go up? I do. The RSX Type S, actually, the RSX Type S's have gone up already. I can't find one for less than 8 to 10 grand, when back in 2 or 3 years ago, you can find one for 3 or 4 grand easily. The RSX Type S's are definitely going to go up in value. The only issue with the Type S, any RSX, is that the suspension for the RSXs went from double wishbone in the old Civics, in the Preludes, and then even the old Accords, to McPherson struts, which is an inferior suspension when you want a good driver feeling, when you want a good track setup. It all hinges on how that wheel, the alignment of the wheel changes depending on load, right? If you load up a double wishbone, the tire does this, right? So the contact patch stays on the road much better. A McPherson strut just goes up and down. So you have to put a lot of negative camber to be able to track drive a McPherson strut type transmission. So a lot of car enthusiasts have stayed away from the RSXs because of the suspension. You know, I've also liked the Civic Si from that era, the 2002, 2003. I've always loved them, but again, that McPherson strut suspension has kept me away from that. I do prefer double wishbone. Like the new Porsche 911 GT3 uses a double wishbone up front, and that's a big deal for them, right? A huge deal. Corvettes, ever since the C5 Corvette at least, C5, C6, the C7, and the C8 all use double wishbone. It's all about suspension geometry at the track, super important. So with that said, the RSX values will go up, not as fast as other cars like the S2000, for example, that does use, Honda S2000 does use double wishbone suspension. How much do you think I'll get for a 2017 Civic Type R with 30,000 miles? I wouldn't expect anything less than around $38,000. As long as it's in good condition, the paint's in good condition, no accidents. Yeah, 38,000, 36,000, 36 to 38 is what I would expect. Do I still have my S2000? Of course, never selling that thing. Always have my S2000. I'm gonna have a whole series in the S2000. That'll drop probably in the January timeframe, because again, I've already scheduled out all of the videos that I have through the end of the year. So early January, we're gonna start with a Honda S2000 series. We'll do a Honda S2000 series, then we'll do a, I'm not sure yet, me and my wife are talking about which series to do. Maybe doing my X5, so still have my diesel X5, I still have my diesel 335D. We'll do series on all those. For now, we're doing a big long series on my 10th gen Civic Type R. So enjoy those videos when they come out. You'll see another video on the Type R tomorrow. Gilberto says, I don't like the new Honda Civic Type R. Lost its Japanese essence. Yeah, the 10th gen Civic Type R styling, I still prefer the 10th gen styling. It's more in your face, it's more out there, it's more origami, which is the whole Japanese thing. You know, it's got the angular shapes in the front and in the back. I really like that. It's distinctly Japanese. The newest, the FL5, they basically just melted the old, you know, FK8, the 10th generation Civic Type R to make it more mature, right? And I think that they've lost a little bit on that. I think it's a little bit less interesting to look at. It still looks great, don't get me wrong. And they've just made it a little bit more subtle, which is what most journalists were complaining about. It is what it is. Let's see if we have any more comments here. We don't. Awesome. Hey, don't forget to hit the like button. I only see one of you guys have hit that like button. It really helps out. I really enjoy doing these with you guys, and I'm actually glad to be back. I'm really glad to be back. I'll be doing these more offhand. I'm gonna try to get I was trying to get my GoPro 10 to do a YouTube live, but I guess recently the YouTube has taken that away from GoPro for whatever reason. So I'm still using my phone. It's getting a little warm actually. The sun's hitting my eye now. Sky Goes asked me, why do you say good luck in getting one? It's because they're not going to build very many of them, especially the first couple of years. I think the first shipment is about 100 Type Rs to the US. Now, they have them in Japan already, the 11th gen Type R. But I don't think they're going to be shipping that many to the United States. If we get more than 3,000 or 4,000 in all of next year, 3,000 or 4,000 Type Rs, I'll be very surprised. I think we're going to get less than 3,000 Type Rs in the United States for the whole year next year. And I know for a fact there's probably 30,000 or 40,000 people that want to buy the next generation Civic Type R. The demand far outstrips supply here. So good luck getting one, man. It's going to be really difficult. I mean, do you have what's your name here? Sky Ghost, do you have a reservation? I'm going to have to move here. Let's go ahead and move locations. We can do that. There you go. Much better. This thing's got a diesel engine, so vibrates a bit. Sorry about that. We're good now. Yeah, that's the thing. It's going to be very difficult to get one. So good luck to those that want one, including me. I'm going to try to get one, but it's going to be difficult. All right, we've been on for about 30 minutes. Unless you guys have any more questions, I think I'll end it here. If you guys are watching this post live and you kind of missed it, again, because I haven't been going live or posting videos for such a long time, who can blame you? But if you guys have any questions and I'm not live anymore, put them down in the comments section below. I read every single comment. So go ahead and put it down below. I'll go ahead and answer those. If we don't have any more questions, I'm going to go ahead and close out. Which means I got to go over there and close you guys out. So DJ says, enjoyed hanging out with me. I enjoyed hanging out with you guys. I always do. DSEE, really insightful. Appreciate the knowledge. Didn't know you can't request colors. You can't request anything from Honda. So the shittiest part about Honda as a manufacturer is that they give, if you're a Honda dealership, they give you what they give you. It is what it is. They don't, there's no argument. A Honda rep shows up and says, hey, you're getting these allocations. That's it. Good luck. Right? So if you have a customer that wants a specific thing, what Honda dealerships do is that they haggle with each other. So one Honda dealership says, hey, I need a Civic Type R in white. Can you get me one? I see you have one. And the dealership can say, yeah, I'll give you my Civic Type R if you give me 3 of your Honda Pilots, right? And so they'll haggle with each other, and they'll swap vehicles. They'll do a shipment. So, and obviously the shipping is paid for by the customer at the end of the day, but that's not a big deal. It's just that Honda as a manufacturer, they don't care about what a dealership wants or what a customer wants. So Ronald says, at the end of the day, the FK8 will be the CTR everyone wants 10 years from now. Yeah, the FK8 is the original Type R, the one that really started the Type R craze here in the United States. Ever since the Integra Type R left the United States back in 1998, I want to say. We haven't had a Type R since 1998. Yeah, we had the S2000, which I consider a Type R, but really haven't had any other Type Rs until the FK8 came out. So, yeah, I think the FK8 is going to be very, very sought after. I think it's a wise investment. If you want to buy an FK8 Type R, I don't think you'll lose value in it unless you're an idiot like me and crash it into a wall. And even then, they still hold their value. If you can rebuild it. But the 11th gen is going to be pretty valuable too, though. It's going to be made in such short supply that I think it's going to be pretty valuable, especially since Honda is really putting all their eggs on electrification now. They've stopped engineering for internal combustions. It's a topic for another live stream, another video. I will be covering the whole idiocy of Honda and other car manufacturers putting all of their engineering dollars into these stupid EVs. But again, it's another video. It's another hour-long rant, or at least half an hour-long rant. I'll spare you from that. DJ says, the only way I was able to get my 2017 was because my friend had a friend at a Honda dealership. Yeah, so the only way is to go to dealerships, call them up, and reserve them. Again, if you guys go back in it was August of 2017, I called up, it was like 25 or 30 dealerships in order to be able to find my one Civic Type R, my 2017 Type R. So, all right. I think I'm going to close it up here, guys. I'm going to get out and go around and close it up. But thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the live stream. If you missed it, I will be doing these. I'll do it as often as possible on Sundays, as often as possible around this time. I'll try to schedule them ahead of time. I can't make any promises. I have a lot going on, which we'll be covering on these live streams, etc. But I really enjoy hanging out with you guys regardless. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll catch you next time. Peace.